SvenSulley here. Happy 2019 everyone, which does in fact mean it's time for me to give my top 10 most anticipated movies of this upcoming year. It looks like 2019 may be stacked with several great movies, but who knows, every year is different and 2019 could disappoint me with several films, like always. I'm just crossing my fingers that my top pick on this list ends up being one of my favorite movies of the entire year, but I'm not getting my hopes up. So without further ado, let's get started with number 10. I'm a pretty big fan of when giant creatures fight each other to the death, and Godzilla King of Monsters looks like it's going to bring just that. Godzilla from 2014 was a very good film in my opinion. Kong Skull Island was just alright, not as good, but I feel like those two films will be combined to make up a very entertaining second edition in the Godzilla franchise. Hoping it's going to be good, but I could see this going down a very dumb route. Number 9. An intriguing entry on my list. Glass is at number 9. M. Night Shyamalan has been on a roll. I'm a very big fan of Unbreakable. Split was highly entertaining. So this movie does have potential surrounding it, and I'm interested to see what M. Night Shyamalan does with the main plot for Glass. How are these characters going to interact, and what's the film going to build up to? Number 8. I'm sure most of you have no clue this movie is even coming out, but at number 8, it is Ford versus Ferrari. It's the true story of when Ford went up against Ferrari to win Le Mans in 1966. James Mangold is helming this film as the director. His last movie was Logan, so there is a lot of potential for this film to be great. Plus, Christian Bale and Matt Damon are the two leads here, so I cannot wait to watch this movie, and I'm sure it'll get on the radar once June 2019 comes up, because it does look like it's going to make a splash this summer. Number 7. Please be good. I really need you to be good. Joker is a film that surrounds the iconic supervillain, the Joker. Joaquin Phoenix is playing the villain, and this movie could go down two different routes. One, a great film, or two, a very disappointing, underwhelming movie, just like Venom from 2018. One can only hope, but it is the Joker, and a movie surrounding that character instantly makes me excited. Number 6. Where the heck is this movie's trailer? Spider-Man Far From Home is next up on my list. I was a pretty big fan of Spider-Man Homecoming. I'm a huge fan of the character Spider-Man and those Raimi Spider-Man movies with Tobey Maguire playing the character. Spider-Man is probably my favorite superhero of all time, so whenever there is another Spider-Man movie coming out, I do get very pumped up to watch it in the theaters. But like I said, we don't really know too much about this film. We know that Jake Gyllenhaal is playing the villain Mysterio, and Jake Gyllenhaal is one of my favorite actors of all time. So him playing an MCU supervillain is something I am super stoked to see. Number 5. John Wick 3, Parabellum looks like it's going to be a fantastic culmination to the John Wick series. Not only am I very much anticipating this movie because of how good the last two films were, but I'm also looking forward to this movie because of how the second movie ended and what's to come next for the character John Wick, played by Keanu Reeves perfectly. I imagine John Wick will be battling 1,000 agents all across the world, which is something definitely worth watching. So I do expect John Wick 3 to be an action movie masterpiece. Number 4. It's been a while, my old friend, but you continue to be a great director, which is why Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is here at number 4. Quentin Tarantino is one of the greatest directors ever to live. By gathering a terrific cast led by my favorite actor, Leonardo DiCaprio, along with Brad Pitt, How could this movie possibly fail? I'm not sure what's to come from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but it is a film with an intriguing plot and one that I'm really interested to see how it pans out. Number 3. Pixar might have failed me in 2018, and I could see the same thing happening in 2019 with Toy Story 4, but I'm keeping my hopes up for this movie because of how great the first 3 were. But I do ask the question, is this movie necessary? Probably not. Maybe this movie will be one of the greatest 4th movies ever to be made, but I'm not gonna say much. I just have this movie on my list because it is a Toy Story film after all, and it has to be on the list. It just has to be. Number 2. Avengers Endgame is here at number 2 for good reason. I don't know if this movie is going to be as good as Avengers Infinity War, because that movie was one of the most action-packed films I've ever seen with great pacing. This movie, on the other hand, could be a little bit more slow pace with not as much action and not as much Thanos, which makes me a little bit skeptical about how this film will turn out. But after that ending, Avengers Endgame must be a top 3 movie I'm highly anticipating. Number 1. For the first time ever, a movie in this universe ends up being my number 1 most anticipated film coming into a year, and that film is Star Wars Episode 9. We still don't have a title for this movie. We'll probably get it sometime within the next couple of months, and I know a lot of people thought that The Last Jedi killed the Star Wars universe. I don't agree with that though. I thought the movie was pretty darn entertaining and did a lot for me. But I do understand the complaints, and there's a lot to pick from that movie and say, oh, that's garbage, but I don't really care because Star Wars is my favorite movie series. So it makes sense for me to have it be number 1, especially if I have no clue whether or not Endgame could even come close to topping Avengers Infinity War, whereas I do see a lot of hope and promise for Star Wars Episode 9 this year. I want to see what they do with Star Wars Episode 9. How do they go from Episode 8 to Episode 9? There's a transition in there that is a bit unclear, but I do think Star Wars fans should still have hope for this franchise to returning to its original form. I'm a huge Star Wars fan, so it has to be number 1 on my list, and that is my most anticipated movie of 2019. So there you have it. That is my list for my most anticipated movies in 2019. If you guys have your own list of your most anticipated movies this year, of course, be sure to let me know down below in the comment section what that list is. All right, and here we are, 2019. A lot of new movies coming out, but unfortunately, nothing good for the next couple of weeks until Glass. So that's a stinker, but I will hopefully have some videos coming out before I see that movie. I'm very excited for 2019. Hopefully this is a great year for movies with a lot of exceptionally well-made films. Only time will tell. As always, if you're new to my channel, click the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Thank you all so much for watching this video, and I hope you all have a fantastic day.